Hello, and welcome to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a podcast with me, Brittany Duncan, a millennial homemaker. Join me each week as I share all the things I've learned that make keeping your home, garden, and life running smoothly, all while working. If you are enjoying the podcast, please be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcasting app so you get the episodes downloaded straight to you every Monday. Now, on to today's episode. Hello, and welcome to the first Friday episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a millennial homemaker. If you are new here, this is a new segment that will talk about a topic or tip and break it down quickly from a bird's eye view. For example, today I'm going to be talking about raw milk. What is it? How is it different from pasteurized milk? What benefits does it have? What are concerns? And how to source it. Monday episodes are more skills-oriented to help encourage you as a homemaker to provide some tips from my experience that hopefully you'll find useful and can implement into your home if you wish. Okay, let's get into it. Raw milk, what is it? In short, raw milk is unpasteurized milk as opposed to pasteurized milk. According to the International Dairy Foods Association, the most common method of pasteurization in the United States today is high temperature short time, or HTST pasteurization. Essentially, they use metal plates, heat the water to at least 161 degrees Fahrenheit, which raises the milk temperatures for not less than 15 seconds, and then it's followed by rapid cooling. So get that milk up to 161, hold, and then rapidly cool it. Companies choose to pasteurize their milk for a few reasons, but one, it kills harmful bacteria that can lead to diseases like listeriosis, typhoid fever, tuberculosis, diphtheria, and brucellosis. Haven't even heard of that last one, but it was on the list. And with that, I mean, obviously that's a great thing, but before we jump into thinking that big dairy brands are doing this only out of our safety, let me drop a little tidbit of information. Pasteurized milk that is not recontaminated with microorganisms will often keep at refrigeration temperature for 3 weeks or longer because these surviving microorganisms grow slowly or not at all in cold milk. So with that, ask yourself, if you were a big dairy farmer, manufacturer, sending your milk across the nation, would pasteurization make the process easier for you? I certainly think so. You'd be limiting the profit loss, at least, caused from spoilage. Anyway, so far, pasteurization sounds pretty good, right? No bacteria leading to disease, lasts longer in my refrigerator. That's also an ideal quality, so why would I choose to drink raw milk in my house? Well, we do it for the health benefits. For us, the health benefits far outweigh the, quote, risks, which can be mitigated. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but let me first get into what those health benefits are. The Raw Milk Institute put together this really great chart that walks through the nutrients and immune factors of different types of milk. The ones they compared were raw breast milk, raw goat or cow's milk, pasteurized goat or cow's milk, pasteurized almond milk, and pasteurized soy milk. And the following, these things I'm going to list, I've got this chart linked in the show notes here, so if you're a visual person, feel free to click that. But basically, the following were active in an unaltered state only in breast and raw milk, okay? So these things I'm about to list, only active in breast milk and raw milk. Beneficial enzymes, diverse probiotics, lactase-producing bacteria, healthy fats, AA, CLA, DHA, and EPA, which if you don't know what those are, don't worry, I didn't either, looked it up, omega-3 fatty acids, proteins, bioavailable vitamins, calcium, phosphorus, and IgA or IgG immunoglobulins. These important nutrients in the other forms of milk were either inhibited, destroyed, damaged, or reduced. Not great. But let's go back and touch on lactase-producing bacteria. Why is that something we care about? We know omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins, calcium, health, proteins, all of that, healthy fats, beneficial. But what's the deal with lactase? Why do we care about that? You've likely heard arguments that people shouldn't be drinking milk. Quote, we are the only animals that drink milk past infancy. People are lactose intolerant because drinking milk as adults isn't natural. Yada yada, list goes on. But let's pause and ask ourselves if the issue is us drinking milk or if it's the type of milk we're drinking. Through the process of pasteurization, the lactase-producing bacteria are destroyed. This is important because lactase is the enzyme that is responsible for breaking down lactose into a digestible form. Could it be that the destruction of the lactase-producing bacteria is why so many people have digestive discomfort from milk? I think so. Countless studies point to yes as the answer. Lactase breaks down lactose into a digestible form, important for our ability to digest milk. It's not that we aren't meant to drink milk. We aren't meant to drink milk that's been altered. So I'm sure some of you are seeing the benefits and saying, okay, all that makes sense. That sounds great. But what about the listeriosis or typhoid fever? Not trying to get tuberculosis or diphtheria. Get it. I'm right there with you, which is why it's important to be selective about your raw milk. But let's also address the big elephant in the room, okay? The living conditions for CAFO cows, which stands for Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations, which is most dairy farms, are awful. They're just awful, okay? Raw Milk Institute breaks it down pretty simply. The 4 main pathogens in milk that can cause human illness are E. coli, Listeria mono, Salmonella, and Campylobacter. The 2 most common sources of pathogens in milk are manure and mastitis. It is estimated that 1/3 of CAFO dairy cows have mastitis. 1/3. And the cows in CAFOs stand and lie in manure all day round. So this type of dairy environment is primed for pathogen growth, is how they explain it. Raw milk dairy cows, however, are raised, fed, milked with the knowledge that that milk is not going to be pasteurized, which breeds caution into the process. If you talk to a raw milk dairy farmer, which I encourage you to do, about their process, they will tell you that pathogen prevention is their top priority. I'm willing to bet that you will not find a cleaner cow, udder, facility than that of a raw milk dairy cow. That said, know your farmer, ask their process, visit their farm if you can, read reviews about their milk, and follow directions for safekeeping. Here in Boise, if you are local and listening, I get our raw milk from 3 sources. One is Wild Spaces Farm. I had the privilege of having Wilder on the podcast for my Get Your Food from a Farm, Not a Factory episode. You can find that in the show notes. I'll link it. The second place I get it from is Provider Farms, and the third is Paradise Grove Dairy, which is actually carried in the Boise co-op stores locally, which is really convenient if you want to just get it from your grocery store. With raw milk, it's really important to keep it cold. Take it from the farmer's market, grocery, wherever you're getting it. And if you have a bit to drive, put it in a cooler and then straight into your fridge. Or if you live nearby, just straight to your fridge. I like to keep mine in the back of the refrigerator where it's coldest. Don't leave it out on the counter. Use it, put it back. This isn't, milk that you're going to be lax with. If you've got kids, it's really important to say, you use the milk, you put it back. And then the other thing is to buy what you'll use. Because it isn't pasteurized, it doesn't have that 3-4 week long expiration. So you will want to kind of figure out how much you use and then purchase that and then taper up as you need to. I used to use milk pretty sparingly until we switched to raw milk. I wasn't a huge milk drinker. I just used it like my coffee or tea. But now I love raw milk. So I've definitely used more since we've switched to raw milk, and I'll go to the grocery strictly to get raw milk because I really don't like the practices of big dairy, and I don't feel like I'm putting something great in my body when I drink pasteurized milk. It's that good, better, best situation. Raw milk is best. I would go as far as to say that pasteurized milk is okay. It's not great. Raw milk to me is great. So that's my personal convictions. Obviously, I am not a nutritionist. I'm not a bioscientist. So I encourage you to do your own research and make your own informed decision for your family. But raw milk is our choice in milk for the reasons that I outlined in this episode. I hope that you learned a little bit about it and that I hopefully answered some of the questions that were bouncing around in your head about it. Just know there are more details to every story, especially when it comes to our food. At the risk of sounding dramatic, we need to do our own digging to find out what the healthiest options for us. They are not what the magazine says is the best thing to be eating or drinking right now. They are not what's likely readily available at eye level in the mainstream grocery. I wish it were. I wish it was that simple, but it's not. But what is simple is educating ourselves. We live in a world where information is at our fingertips. So dive in and ask the questions that are bouncing around your head. Don't just take the big food corporations' word for it. Do your research. And then, this is just a side note, but look back on generations and generations of farmers and cultures and people, and ask yourself how they've done it and dig into that as well. So anyway, I love raw milk. I think it's fantastic. Once you start digging into it, I think you'll find the same, but that's a little bit about it. I appreciate you listening, and I will see you back here next Monday. Thank you for listening to this episode of Untraditionally Traditional. If you enjoy the podcast, please share it with those special people who would love it too, and write a review. For more tips and photos of my home and garden, follow Untraditionally Traditional Pod on Instagram. Until next week, let's continue to make our homes places of joy and service to ourselves and those we share them with.